In warfare, trying out new tactics and technologies could give you a serious advantage, even if just by surprising your enemy. But the Greeks and Romans had some really strange ideas for what could work in combat. In the 4th century, the Western Roman Empire was having a rough time of it. But not all solutions are made equal. The De Rebus Bellicus is an anonymous treatise advocating for military reform, primarily due to the immense financial burden on the army. One aim was to reduce the number of humans involved in warfare, and the text offers some very odd devices which might make this possible. Possibly the most famous, and the strangest, was a cow-powered warship. The author seemed to believe the weight of it from all the extra cattle would make it unstoppable in battle. Although how the crew were meant to manage a bunch of seasick cattle in the chaos of a battle, the author does not say. This invention could have worked in theory, but doesn't seem to have ever been put into practice. But as a side note, it is very useful evidence for the existence of paddle wheels in the ancient world. One of the most famous ancient minds was Archimedes, the one who leapt from the bath shouting, "Eureka!" When his hometown of Syracuse was besieged by the Romans in the Second Punic War, he turned his incredible mind to war. The Roman Marcellus besieged the city both by land and a naval blockade by sea, even nailing together 8 ships to create a platform for artillery. We're told that Archimedes' machines fired waves of missiles at the Romans which overcame any assault. Many were hidden inside walls so they could pop out at any moment to surprise an attacker. He was famous for his use of levers, famously saying, "Give me a place to stand and I shall move the earth."
Questa è la leva con cui tu hai detto che si potrebbe sollevare qualsiasi cosa.
Qualsiasi. Se noi avessimo un punto d'appoggio, potremmo sollevare anche il mondo.
Archimede.
And used these to great effect, stretching poles out from the walls to drop great rocks upon the Roman ships, and even picking them up like a claw machine before dropping them upside down or dashing them on the rocks. His most famous weapon was a device for setting fire to ships from a distance. This story comes about much later than the others though, and how precisely he does so is a mystery. Lucian says he burned the ships of the enemy by means of his science. Very vague. Anthemius of Tralles, who helped design the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul, was the first to give an actual description of how, and he suggests a burning glass, so using mirrors and lenses to focus the power of the sun. How far these stories of Archimedes are true is unclear. In war, it's always a good idea to terrify your enemy, which certainly happened in this case. It's natural that anything new and dangerous gets blown way out of proportion. Did Archimedes use his knowledge of lenses and mirrors to build a death ray, or did they have some other fire starter, which over 500 years took on this mythic status? Could the crane he built really lift up a ship, or was it just an arm to drop rocks upon ships? We'll never know precisely what happened. At any rate, Marcellus eventually captured Syracuse anyway, and in the kerfuffle, a Roman soldier killed Archimedes. Plutarch says Marcellus believed the man responsible was a murderer and made amends to Archimedes' family. Our final strategy is as horrific as it is straightforward. Elephants are a terrifying presence on the battlefield, but are easily startled, which can turn them back onto their own troops. In 275 BC, the Romans fought Pyrrhus of Epirus, who brought elephants with him to Italy. One story is that they defeated him by releasing rams and pigs, knowing that elephants are terrified of the horns of a ram and the squealing of the pig. This was so notable, even to the Romans, that some iron currency bars from the period display an elephant on one side and a pig on the other. However, this doesn't occur in all versions of the story. In Cassius Dio's account of the battle, he says it was a wounded elephant who cried out and upset all the other elephants as they rushed to its aid. But there are other, more terrible pig-related stratagems. When the Megarians were besieged by Antigonus Gonatus, they covered their pigs in liquid pitch and set fire to them. This caused chaos and confusion, setting the elephants to panic amongst their own troops. The elephants clearly thought it was a major weakness. Aelian warns us that we should keep pigs when training elephants to acclimatize them to the noise. Perhaps this countermeasure explains why the stratagem fell out of fashion. Well, that and the fact that there are easier ways to stop elephants that don't rely on you sacrificing your dinner. This was just a quick dip into the world of ancient warfare, and a reminder that sometimes the best strategy is one of surprise.